Welcome to the ITFreeTraining video on VMware Tools. In this video, I will look at how to install VMware Tools on Windows and Ubuntu. By the end of this video, you will not only understand how to install VMware Tools, but also the advantage of installing VMware Tools in a virtual machine. Firstly, what is VMware Tools? VMware Tools is a suite of software that enhances the performance of virtual machines running under a VMware virtualization product. Without VMware Tools installed, the virtual machine will only have basic features and may be sluggish to respond, particularly with graphics. VMware Tools replaces the graphics drivers used in the virtual machines and thus improves video performance. This includes increasing the color depth, maximum resolution, adding 3D support, as well as making it more responsive. VMware Tools also replaces the mouse driver and thus allows seamless movement between the desktop and virtual machine. Without this support, as you will see in the demonstration, you need to perform a key combination in order to release the mouse pointer from the virtual machine. The next feature is improved snapshots. A snapshot records the current state of the virtual machine so that it can be restored later on. Without VMware Tools installed, this process may cause the virtual machine to pause while the snapshot is being performed. Next, VMware Tools adds support for time synchronization between the host and the virtual machine. If your virtual machine has its own way to sync time, which most operating systems have nowadays, you may want to use this system rather than time synchronization between the host and virtual machine. If it does not, enabling this option will ensure that the virtual machine's and the host machine's time is the same. Lastly, VMware Tools adds the ability for the virtual machine to use sound. Although a virtual machine will work without VMware Tools installed, you can see that for added performance and additional features, you will want to install VMware Tools, assuming that the operating system that you are using supports it. Shown here are the operating systems supported by VMware Tools. On the Windows side, it is quite simple. It is basically all operating systems released after and including Windows 95. The only Windows system not included is Windows 3.1, which was DOS-based. For Linux, there are too many to list. All the major ones are supported, and Linux has been supported for a long time, so there is a good chance that if you are using an old distribution, it is supported as well. VMware Tools is also supported on alternative operating systems like Solaris, FreeBSD, and Macintosh. As you can see, there is a lot of support for virtual machines using VMware, and one of the reasons why it is the market leader in virtualization technology. First, I will launch the VMware Vsphere client from the desktop and log in to my Vsphere server. I do not have certificates set up on this network, so it is safe to ignore the certificate message when it appears. Once the Vsphere client loads up, I will go down and select the virtual machine Windows XP and open the console for it. This is a clean install of Windows XP that has not been configured yet. Notice that when I move the mouse from left to right, just like with Hyper-V, the mouse pointer is trapped inside the windows. To release it, I need to press Ctrl and Alt together. Notice that once released, there are two mouse pointers visible on the screen. Notice at the top of the screen there are buttons to stop, pause, play, and restart. Notice that although it looks like there is nothing wrong, when I select the pull-down menu and then select Power, the option for Shut Down Guest and Restart Guest are grayed out. Currently, the virtual machine can only be switched on or off. The same effect as switching the power on or off on a physical computer. Notice that when I select the window, unlike integration services, there is no support in Windows for VMware functions until we install the tools. Before I do that, I will first go to the Tools menu and open Computer Management. Once Computer Management has been opened, I will next open Device Manager. If I expand Display Adapters, notice that the display adapter is listed as Microsoft Basic Display Adapter. As the name suggests, this is a very basic display driver, and thus performance for this device driver is not that good. Notice that further down there is a missing device driver. To fix this, I will go to the VM menu, making sure I press Ctrl and Alt to release the mouse from the window, and select Install/Upgrade VMware Tools under Guest submenu. I will get a message stating that VMware Tools will improve performance and the guest operating system must be running in order to install VMware Tools. Once I press OK, the VMware Tools ISO will be mounted to the local optical drive, and I will be able to run the auto run to launch the setup. Once I next passed the welcome screen, on the next screen I can choose Typical, Complete, or Custom Install. In most cases, you should accept the default option of Typical unless you have special needs. In this case, I will select the Custom option to have a look at all the options that are available. Notice that most of the options are selected. The additional options are not needed in most installs. Services like virtual printing and shared folders allow printing and files to be shared between the guest and the host, but there are other ways to achieve the same result. vShield drivers is an antivirus system that works with vShield to protect the virtual machine from viruses. There is nothing special about this virtual machine, so I will accept the defaults and move on. Once I press Install, VMware will start to install. The process only takes a minute or so to complete, but I've sped up that process so we do not have to wait. Once finished, VMware Tools will ask for a reboot. This is required, but I want to shut down the system first to look at some additional options. Notice that the device manager has changed. If I had a closer look at the device drivers, you would be able to see that a lot of device drivers have changed. If I scroll up, you will notice that the missing device driver has now been found. Also notice that the display adapter has changed to VMware SVGA 3D. This will give the virtual machine much better graphics performance as well as some 3D support. If I open the VM menu and go to the Power options, notice that Shut Down Guest and Restart Guest are now available. These were grayed out before. Notice that when I select the option Shut Down Guest and press Yes at the prompt, the operating system is shut down gracefully. Without VMware Tools installed, using the interface I would only be able to power off the virtual machine. In order to shut down the virtual machine gracefully, I would need to log in to the virtual machine and use the virtual machine interface to shut down the virtual machine. Once the virtual machine has shut down, I will right-click the virtual machine and select Edit Settings. This will show all the configuration for the virtual machine. For example, I could add additional hardware or change existing hardware, like how much RAM the virtual machine is using from here. The settings that I am interested in here, in this case, are found on the Options tab. If I select VMware Tools, this will show all the settings that can be configured for VMware Tools. Notice on the right-hand side, I can change what happens when the Stop button is pressed. With VMware Tools installed, the virtual machine will be shut down gracefully. The next option is Suspend, which you cannot really change to anything other than suspend. The last option of Restart you can configure to restart the guest gracefully or configure it to restart the virtual machine just like the reset switch has been pressed. Notice under this you have the option for Running VMware Tools Scripts. You can disable the scripts that are run when performing operations like powering on, resuming, suspending, or shutdown. You are also able to add to these scripts. For example, an administrator could write a script that backs up the virtual machine to another server before it starts up. In the advanced options, you have the option to check and upgrade tools during power cycling. If you want to ensure that the latest version of VMware Tools is installed without any interaction from the administration, tick this option and a check will be performed on each system boot. Under this, you have the option to synchronize guest time with the host. Many operating systems will automatically sync the time in the operating system to an external time source. If there is no such option in the operating system, or perhaps the virtual machine is being blocked by a firewall, then you should consider ticking this option to ensure that the virtual machine time is always correct. If I go back to the Windows Server 2012 virtual machine, notice that the mouse can move between the virtual machine and the desktop without issue. VMware Tools has been installed and is working correctly. If I close Windows Server 2012, I will now select the Ubuntu virtual machine and look at how to install VMware Tools on it. You will notice that even though I have not installed VMware Tools as yet, the mouse pointer can move between the virtual machine and desktop without a problem. This is because Ubuntu ships with a version of VMware Tools pre-installed. Even though this is the case, I will go through the install process to ensure that the version of VMware Tools is the latest version. To install the VMware Tools, select the menu VM and then select Install/Upgrade VMware Tools from the sub-menu Guest. Once I press OK on the information dialog, an ISO containing the VMware Tools will be mounted to the optical drive. The files are compressed, so the easiest way to decompress them is to right-click the file and select Extract to. The compressed package will now be decompressed to a temporary area. Once complete, you will next need to decide where to copy these files to. In this case, I will select the desktop, then press the button Extract. Even though the package has been decompressed, it is also combined into one file using tar. Tar allows multiple files to be combined together to form the one file, so it appears that file is decompressed twice, but it is in fact just performing the second step. I will now close this window and right-click on the icon at the top left and select Applications. From Applications, I will search for Terminal and run it to open a terminal. The next stage requires a script to be run as the root user. First of all, I need to change the directory to the desktop directory where I extracted the files to. To run the command as a root user, I will use the command sudo, which launches a single command as the root user, followed by the install script name. Since the script is in the current directory, I need to add // to let Linux know to look in the current directory for the script, otherwise I will get a message telling me the file was not found. Following this, I will add the -d switch, which tells the script to accept all the defaults. Once I enter in the root password, the install will start. The whole install took about 2 minutes to complete, so I've sped up the video so we do not have to wait. Now that the install is complete, I can exit the terminal and reboot the virtual machine to complete the process. That covers it for VMware Tools. You can see, for performance reasons alone, it is a good idea to install VMware Tools. For more free videos from us, please check out our YouTube channel or webpage. Thanks, and see you next time.